Hello, I'm Faberistry, and today I'm going to be surviving 200 days in Minecraft Hardcore on a jungle island. For those of you who have not seen it, I've already survived 100 days, so make sure to check out that video first. Links are in the description and in the top right corner here. So I'll give you just a second to watch that and come back to this video. Okay, so now let's begin with day 101. To start off with, I wanted to try and get some netherite, as at the moment I only had full diamond armor and diamond tools. So I created a tunnel going all the way down to netherite mining level, and I even found an ancient debris on this first day. Next, in day 102, I was able to get 3 more ancient debris, meaning that I finally had enough to convert 1 item to netherite. Next, in day 103, using this new netherite ingot, I was able to get a netherite pickaxe. However, one thing I did realise is that if I wanted to get full netherite, with the current setup I had, it wouldn't be possible, as I was losing too much durability before I was able to find any ancient debris. So for the rest of day 103, I collected materials so that I could build a mob farm. Then in day 4, I started construction on my mob farm. However, this mob farm was going to be massive, so it was going to take more than just day 104. It also took the entirety of day 105, day 106, and day 107. And for those of you who are wondering why I built it out of netherrack, that's because it's a simple and easy resource to get, and I intend on actually creating a building for it later on in this 200 days in hardcore. In day 108, I added the scaffolding pillar, allowing me to get really high up so that only mobs in the mob farm could spawn, and I used the rest of the day to heal up my pickaxes and the rest of my armor. However, near the end of the day, I went too close to the killing chamber and the creeper exploded, destroying the killing chamber of my mob farm. So for the end of day 108, I had to fix my mob farm. Then in day 109, I went to do some more netherite mining. And so by the end of day 109, I had 2 more netherite ingots, which I used on my other pickaxe and my sword. Then in day 110, just as I started healing my pickaxes, another creeper exploded. But that's not it. Another creeper after that also exploded, meaning that all the resources from the chest got destroyed. However, in day 111, after fixing my mob farm, I went netherite mining again. And by the end of my netherite mining, I was able to have 2 more netherite ingots. Using these netherite ingots, I was able to have a netherite shovel and netherite boots. Then in day 112, I spent the time healing up my pickaxes, my armor and other tools. And in day 113, something unpredictable happened. My mob farm blew up again. This was the 5th time it's blown up so far. So I had to go back out to get more hoppers so that I could replace the hoppers in my mob farm. So after fixing my mob farm again, I decided it was time to do some more netherite mining. And I went mining for both day 114 and day 115. And by the end of it, I had 13 more ancient debris. Then in day 116, I was able to get full netherite using these extra ancient debris mined. I also had to fix my mob farm because it exploded again. Then in day 117, after fixing the mob farm again after it exploded, I finally figured out a way to keep my mob farm from ever exploding again. And that was just 2 simple blocks. These blocks allowed me to stay far enough from the mobs that they couldn't see me, but close enough that I could still hit them. So without having to worry about fixing my mob farm, I decided to go netherite mining for day 118 and 119. And with this extra netherite, I was finally able to get the best tool in the game, a netherite hoe. Oh, and I was also able to convert 2 diamond axes. And in day 120, I spent my time healing back up all my items. So now that I had full netherite and all my armor was fully healed, I decided it was time to fight the Ender Dragon. However, before I could do that, I needed to find the stronghold. So on day 121, I spent my entire time looking for the stronghold. And most of this required me travelling in a boat. And while travelling the ocean trying to find this stronghold, I came across 2 ocean monuments, and they were so close you could see both of them at the same time. And so, for the rest of day 122, I spent my time looking throughout the stronghold trying to find the end portal. However, when I did find it, I didn't have enough eyes to actually go into the end. So, I had to go all the way back to my base just to get 2 more ender eyes. And at the beginning of day 123, I was finally able to go to the end. So, here's how the dragon fight went. To start off with, I mined out of the hole that I was in to get up to the surface of the Ender Island. However, when I ran out, I realised I was on quite low HP due to attacking an enderman and I needed to eat, so I decided to hide in the hole to regain my HP. Then after that, I destroyed all the end crystals around the dragon, as that way it can no longer regenerate HP. So, now with all the crystals destroyed, it was time to kill the dragon. The way I did this is that I waited for the dragon to perch above its bedrock nest, and then when it did, I used my netherite sword to deal as much damage as I could. But while it was flying around, I also tried shooting it. And I repeated this until eventually I killed the dragon. And with the Ender Dragon fight finally finished, I got a load of XP, but I was also able to get the dragon egg. Then, in day 125, I spent my time preparing for the quest to get an elytra. This meant getting rockets, as well as getting more food, and bridging out to the end portal gate. In day 126, I spent my time exploring the End Islands, looking for an end city with an elytra in it. However, I did not find one in this day. In day 127, I continued to wander around the end. However, when I went into an end city, I made sure to kill all the shulkers so that I could get more shulker boxes and mine the ender chests. And in day 128, I finally came across an end city with an elytra. And with this elytra, I was finally able to fly throughout the end and conquer more end cities. And using this first elytra, I was able to gain 3 more elytras from different end cities. Then when I returned to the overworld from the end, I sorted out all the materials I got from the end cities. And I also added mending to all 4 of my elytras. However, for them to be maxed out, I needed an unbreaking book. So in day 129, I went back to the same village where I got the mending villager to try and get an unbreaking villager. However, while in the process of looking for a villager, I saw the iron golem. I tried to kill it, and it went just perfectly. I wasn't even close to dying. And in day 130, cured a villager, and for the rest of the day, I cycled through its trades until eventually, at the start of day 131, I got an unbreaking 2 villager. Then for the rest of day 131, I spent my time applying unbreaking books to my elytras. Day 132, I spent my time mining sand and gravel because I wanted to create concrete to decorate my mob farm. Then in day 133, I had to craft all the white concrete powder. Then for the next 2 days, I placed down as much white concrete powder as I could, and then destroyed it to get white concrete. Even though I had 2 full shulker boxes of white concrete powder, I only went through about 2/3 of the first shulker box. Then using the concrete that I've just mined, I decided to start transforming the mob farm. My goal for this mob farm was to create a futuristic looking flying vehicle, and that's why I'm using white concrete and very straight edges. And this first part of the mob farm took me all the way up to day 137. For the next 3 days, I finished off placing the concrete around my mob farm, but on the roof I destroyed the netherrack so that I could place the white concrete at that level. This is because on day 141, I added some more designs onto the roof to make it look a lot neater and more futuristic, and these designs were actually quite hard to do because of the lava. I actually spent the next 2 days getting lava from the nether and bringing it back. That's because I only had 1 bucket that I had to keep transporting, and I didn't have too much iron in order to make more buckets. In day 143, I spent my time preparing to build the flames in the futuristic mob farm. This meant collecting some lapis for some dark blue dye, collecting some blue orchids for light blue dye, mining a lot of sand to create glass, and creating an automatic smelting system. In day 45, I wanted to start building the flames, but before I could actually build the flames for the futuristic rocket, I wanted to gather a few end rods as they're quite nice light source for flames. In day 146, I built the first flame for the futuristic mob farm, and in day 147, I've completed half of the second flame. And I continued to build the flames, and by day 149, I had 3 of the 4 flames complete, and in day 150, I finally finished all the flames for my futuristic mob farm. In day 151, I decided that I wanted to add a sorting system into my mob farm. However, I didn't have enough iron, so spent the entirety of day 151 collecting iron. Then for the next 3 days, I spent my time trying to build the sorter. However, I tried using glass as I thought it looked quite cool, and you can place redstone on glass. However, the sorter does not work with glass, so after 3 days, I finally figured that out, and it worked. In day 155, I decided to add a bit of a building onto the storage system, as the rest of the mob farm looks really nice. However, the storage system looks a bit out of place. In day 156, I decided that I wanted to get another sword. However, I wanted this sword to be sharpness, so I spent the entire day enchanting a max diamond sharpness sword. Then in day 157 I went netherite mining so that I could convert my brand new diamond sword into netherite. Then in day 158 I went to a piglin bastion. However, there weren't many mobs inside this bastion because the basalt delta had closed in on the bastion, making it hard for any mobs to spawn. Next, in day 159 I started creating a neater nether area. And I continued to do this in day 160 where I made a much nicer area to access my netherite mines. In day 161 I finished off my nether area and then I spent the rest of the day healing up my armor and tools. Next, in day 162 I destroyed an entire iceberg so that I could get more ice for my next build. And in day 163, using the ice I just mined, I created a large ice sheet which I'm going to be building my frozen fishing hut around. Then in day 164 I went all the way back to the village because it's right next to a savanna biome so that I could get some acacia logs for my fishing hut. And with these acacia logs I started construction on my fish hut. However, there wasn't nearly enough acacia logs, so in day 165 I went back to the acacia biome so that I could mine more trees. And then I finished off building my fishing hut. This took me all the way up to the end of day 166. Then in day 167 I decided I want my entire base to feel like it's more connected. And my first step with that is to add some more ice around my ice fishing hut. And in day 168 I went to get a few more lily pads and place them so that there was a path without needing an elytra to get from my ice fishing hut to my tree base. I also made sure to add a lot of bone meal in the surrounding areas and some kelp to make it feel more alive. In day 169 I decided that I wanted to go into an ocean monument. But before I could do that, I needed to get a cow so I could get a bucket of milk to get rid of the mining fatigue effect. So at the start of the day, I just permanently borrowed a cow from the nearby area. And for the rest of the day, I explored the ocean monument, taking the gold from the center of it, killing the 3 elder guardians, as well as looking for a sponge room. However, there wasn't any in this ocean monument. Then in day 170, I raided another ocean monument, and this time there was a sponge room, so I was able to mine a lot of sponge. And in day 171, I raided a third and final ocean monument. And just like the second one, it also had a sponge room. And here's a little trick for you if you're ever doing an ocean monument yourself. Bring a water bucket and spam click it if you need to get more oxygen, as this will allow you to get infinite air underwater. Day 173, I wanted to create another bow that had mending instead of infinity. However, when I went to do this, I realised that I've lost my lapis, so I had to spend the entirety of the day looking for more lapis, so that I could finally, in day 173, create the maxed out mending bow. In day 174, I decided that I wanted to have a food source that was a bit more reliable, and not just some golden carrots that I found in a chest. So I went on a quest to try and get another villager, however this time it was going to be a farmer. In day 175, after curing the villager, I brought it back to my base and put it in its very spacious forever home. Then for the rest of the day I traded with that villager until I got to the point where I could trade 1 emerald for 3 golden carrots. In day 176 I decided that I wanted to create a bee farm. But if you want to create a bee farm, you need one key thing, and that's bees. So I spent the entire day exploring biomes trying to find some beehives. These biomes included a flower forest island as well as a birch forest, and I was able to find 3 beehives in that birch forest. Then in day 177 I started construction of the build where I was going to have the bee farm in. In day 178 I finished off building the area for my bee farm. Then afterwards, I collected the resources in order to build the bee farm. I also crafted any additional resources that I couldn't go mining for example some observers. Then in day 179 I actually built the bee farm. And surprisingly, it worked perfectly the first time I built it. And in day 180 I spent my time breeding up some more bees so that my bee population could grow, meaning I could get more honeycomb and more honey, and I also neatened up some of the area around my bee farm. Then in day 181 I decided that I wanted to use one of the fancy lamps I was able to get in day 100. So I went to the nearby island next to the bee farm in order to create a nice area for my beacon. However, I didn't have enough gold blocks in order to power the beacon, so I spent the rest of day 181 and part of day 182 mining gold so that I could power the beacon. And then for the rest of day 182 I added more decorations to my beacon island. These included some honey representing the honey farm nearby, as well as some white concrete with some white concrete powder, as that's the area I used to convert concrete powder into concrete. Then in day 183 I decided that I wanted to do a raid, but in order to do a raid I needed to find a pillager outpost. Then after killing a few of the pillagers, I was finally able to kill the raid captain and get the bad omen effect. And because there was a nearby village, I decided that I was going to do the raid today as well. And the raid was going really well. I had killed most of the pillagers. However, as I had not prepared this village for a raid, all the villagers died, meaning that overall I lost the raid. Then in day 184, I wanted to do another raid. However, this time I found a village first, so that I could secure a villager so that it would not die. Then I went to kill the raid captain, and I started the raid. And just like last time, I killed as many of the raiders as I could. However, after doing the raid for the full day, I was still missing 2 pillagers. And after searching for them for the majority of day 185, I finally found them hidden in a cave. And this raid continued all the way until day 186. And on this day, I also died. But thankfully, I had a totem of undying, meaning that I did not actually die. However, I still failed the raid because only the one villager that I kept away survived. After both failed raid attempts, I decided that I wanted to do something a bit more simple for the next Minecraft day, and that was fishing. But if I wanted to go fishing, I was going to need an enchanted fishing rod. However, I'd lost my lapis again, so I had to go mining for lapis. And in day 187 and day 188, I only found 1 lapis. I even found more diamonds than I found lapis. But in day 189, I finally found some lapis. And with this lapis, I was able to fully enchant a fishing rod. And with a mending book added to this fishing rod, it will never break either. And for the rest of day 189, I just went fishing in my fishing hut. And while all the fish, like the cod and salmon, won't be of any use because I already have golden carrots as a food source, this Riptide 3 book will be very helpful when I get a trident. Another useful thing that I was able to fish up was a name tag, which meant that I was able to rename my parrot to the subscribe parrot, which if you haven't already subscribed, you should. In day 190, I wanted to try and get a trident, so I spent my time going through the ocean killing drowns. However, I did not get a trident this day, but I did go back to the villager outpost to get a crossbow, so that in day 191 I could max out this crossbow, trying to find more drowns with tridents so that I could possibly get a trident myself. And while I might not have got a trident this day, I did find all my missing lapis. However, I did accidentally break my ender chest, so I needed to go out to get another ender chest. This meant killing a blaze, an enderman, and mining some obsidian, and crafting the ender chest itself. In day 193, I decided that since I just spent my time getting an ender chest, I should grab some shulker boxes to neaten up the ender chest too. So I spent the entire day of 193 in the end killing shulkers. Then in day 194, I decided that I wanted to dye all the shulker boxes different colours to make it even easier to distinguish between the different boxes. This meant I travelled all the way back to the Flower Forest Islands to get some more colourful dyes, and also to the desert to get some green and lime dyes. So now with my much neatened out ender chest, I decided that I wanted to add one more micro farm into my base. And since I brought an excess amount of cactus, I decided to build a cactus farm. In day 196, I still wanted to get a trident, but in the process of looking for drowns for tridents, I also found many shipwrecks. So I decided to use the treasure maps inside some of these to go looking for some treasure, particularly a Heart of the Sea and some iron. And since I was now trying to get a conduit as well, I decided to use some of my prismarine to create an area ready for the conduit when I get it. In day 197, I was still killing some drowns to try and get a trident. However, I didn't get one in this day, but I did find a lot more treasure. In day 198, I had another treasure map. However, I couldn't actually find the treasure. But while looking for it, I found a massive coral reef, so I spent most of the day just mining coral. And in day 199, after exploring the ocean for a few days, I finally was able to create a conduit. And I placed it inside my prismarine cage. Next, I used the coral that I mined in day 198 around this conduit. And I also added a lot of bone meal around this area to make it feel more alive. And finally, day 200. And this day, I was actually able to get a trident, right at the start of the day, and it was full durability, with Impaling 2 as well. Then I maxed out this trident so that it had Riptide 3, Impaling 5, Unbreaking 3, and Mending. And well, for the rest of day 200, I just played with the trident. But rather than just watch me play with a trident, here's a quick tour of everything built from 100 days to 200 days in this Jungle Island hardcore world. So thank you so much for watching to the end of this video. Don't forget to like that smash button as well as subscribing. And if you haven't already, make sure to watch the first episode here. Thank you and goodbye!